first D2C live webinar. This one is all around stop treating your visitors all the same, looking and learning how you can increase your conversion by two times on site. Did you know that 97% of the visitors who browse don't immediately buy? There's a lot of missed opportunities, and we're hosting this webinar today to help you understand and be able to segment your customer base based on their buying intent. We want to see those add to carts soar, we want to see those conversion rates increase, and we're at the perfect time of year to start looking at that. So we're going to dive into how AI-driven personalisation can work magic on your Shopify store, how we can boost those add to cart rates by 4 times and double your conversion rate. But that's not all. We really want to reveal how understanding customer intent can dramatically improve your app performance as well. We're just coming into Q4 now. We've got Black Friday, Cyber Monday all coming up, and it's really your chance now to get those strategies implemented, because ultimately we all want to lead into a record-breaking Q4 for everyone in e-commerce. So let's get stuck in. I'll start off and I'll just tell you a little bit more about D2C Live for those that don't know. But D2C Live is built on these 3 pillars: inspiration, education, and connection. So we're all about bringing the most up-to-date technology, everything you need to know around e-commerce and D2C, and making those connections between brands, technology partners, and everything in between. Here's some of the brands that are part of the D2C Live community, and we are a brand-first community, so everything we do is driven at the brands that we've got in the space. We support brands in a number of different ways. We have our flagship events, we do exclusive dinners, webinars like this, drinks, social networking, as much as we can, both online and offline. And of course, we've got our D2C Live newsletter, which hopefully some of you have got this morning. But do make sure to subscribe to that, because it's full of all things D2C, e-commerce, retail, and everything that you need to know. Here are some of the brands that we've worked with in the space as well, and some of the results that we generate. And some of the ways that we can also support brands. So we do website redesigns, platform migrations, conversion rate optimizations, and meta ads all through Rainy City. And so I'd love to introduce our partner for this first webinar, which is Shwetank from QA. I don't know if you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about how you guys are helping D2C brands personalize their journeys with real-time intent.
Thank you, Rebecca. Really excited to be here. And like I say this all the time to everybody, D2C Live is a fantastic place to be a part of. Right from brands, tech partners, it's where you can really get to know what's happening in the industry and see what works best for you. So I'm really excited joining with all you guys today. Thank you for this.
No, thanks for joining us. And yeah, so for those that don't know, I'm Rebecca. So I'm founder of Rainy City Agency and director of D2C Live. We've got Shwetank, who's the founder of QA, and then we've also got James as well, who is Meta Ads Manager at Rainy City. But I don't know if you want to just give yourself a little intro, James.
Yeah, so I live in all of the Meta Ads accounts, working with really cool D2C brands in multiple different niches. But yeah, really just been with the Facebook ads space for the last 4 years and really getting to grips with all these D2C clients this year.
And scaling.
And scaling, yeah, for sure.
So let's kick off and let's get stuck into the webinar, and let's learn how we can 2x our conversions on site. So let's start with you, Shwetank. And what do you mean when you say 97% of the visitors aren't ready to buy yet?
So I've read this theory and I've seen a lot of articles, a lot of people writing about it. Is the whole e-commerce world is about trying to mimic the retail experience, right? Trying to make it as seamless as possible, trying to give you the experience of the product, what you want to buy, etc. Because I think deep down we need to understand that anybody buying anything is looking for a solution to a problem that they have. And what I mean that, going a further step down, imagine you want to travel from London to Manchester, right? And there are people who are going to drive, who are going to take a train, who are going to go fly, different ways. And they'll all use different maps, and everybody will have a different way and roads and routes and, time to go and reach. Your D2C website is something like that. Visitors that come, not everybody is ready to buy. You are in very different modes of either you just want to understand what the product does, either you just want to go and see if there's a cool ad, what was it all about. Either it's your third visit where you already know the product that you were really interested in and then you kind of go and buy it. Or you just went to the page again and then are trying to wait for an offer or a coupon to then go back and buy the next time, right? But inherently, Shopify and all the other e-commerce websites are built in such a way that they assume every landing visitor is ready to buy. And one of the most amazingly annoying experience of this is as soon as a visitor lands, you get a pop-up saying, hey, sign me up for a 20% off. I'm like, kill me. This is 2024, right? We need to understand where the visitor is and then treat them uniquely, because today you're not just fighting for the money they have in their wallet with all the other brands. Far more important, you're trying to fight with their time and attention. Because if they're on your store, even when they have something on the cart, you suddenly see they get an Instagram DM. That's it. They're not going to buy anything more. So that's is what, when you need to understand that the visitors that come on your store, everybody is in a different stage of buying journey. And if you connect with them accordingly, are they nurturing stage, are they discovery stage, are they high intent? If you engage with them, the conversions are going to be much, much higher than what it is right now.
Yeah. And it's so important as well, like when you are spending all that money on the acquisition piece, that you're not just like throwing money down the drain as well. And I think that's a really important thing to remember, isn't it? Especially with like the rising costs now.
Yeah, funny enough, right? When brands kind of look at it, they can't control the traffic because Meta is the biggest black box in the world, and James, would definitely can talk more about it. The cost is going up, Rebecca, as you mentioned. The amount of people that are coming to your store, what is the quality of traffic? You can't control all that. What you can control is how you interact with them, and that changes entire matrix, which is conversion rate and your ROAS at the end of it.
Yeah. And James, so 80% of like paid traffic on average is acquired by Meta. What are the types of trends that you're seeing by brands towards like ad creatives and the impact that is having when people are converting through ads?
Yeah, so I'd say there's like three main trends that I'm seeing through our clients and like the wider industry. So the first one is I want my brands to produce content that is authentic as possible. Because over the years, there's been like a flood of influencers, UGC creators, and the customers are just getting desensitized to these massive outlandish claims. Or if it just looks like the influencer's got the product that day and they're saying it's changed their life, our audience can see right through this. So what we've done with our clients is we actually get our customers to be the hero influencers and creators. We'll get them to bring video testimonials in, and we use them as ads. And like these are like just propping up a lot of our accounts with the best performers. And another trend is actually getting the founders to create a backstory and use these as ad creatives. And more often than not, like when I ask a founder for this content, they'll be a bit hesitant. They'll think, oh, it's not that important. But it is so important to show that you're not like a faceless brand. You've got a backstory. And again, it's just like really authentic to our customer base. And the third trend, this is more like a tip that brands can do at home. If you've got like a bank of influencer content, make like mashup videos of them, like stack them on top of each other. And this just like adds stacks of social proof. And it's just a really good way of finding winners from existing creatives. So they're the main like trends that we're seeing.
Yeah. And that even that the like the founder story as well, like it creeps into not just like the meta, like a lot of brands that I've been seeing as well have been using that kind of really basic text edit in through like their emails as well, and they're the ones that tend to convert even higher.
Yeah, when it seems like a personal note from the founder, like even I look at ads, I know it's like a tactic, and I'm like, oh, that's a nice.
Yeah, sold. I'll buy it.
Yeah, so yeah, I totally agree on that.
And Shwetank, like after you've acquired like that traffic, how does Kui then come into helping that out? And have you got kind of any examples or case studies on like how that works and like the process that you guys do that helps that?
So what we do on top of all the cool things that James spoke about, which are the trendy things to do, to try and go and have a very good first impression to the audience and the segments that you're trying to target towards. What Kui does is we look at 200 plus micro behaviors of what each visitor is doing on your store in real time. The source of traffic they're coming from, which page do they land, right? How much do they scroll? How much time are they spending on it? How much time it takes them to go from product page to collection, collection to home? Do they click on any product, color, size, description, FAQ, shipping? All these actions in real time kind of indicate where this visitor is in the buying journey. And through that, if you go and talk to them accordingly via pop-ups, via embeds, via upsell, cross-sell, via AOV boosters, all these kind of real estate that you have on your store, they feel that their experience is personalized. It's as per where they are in the decision-making state. And then the conversions are much more higher. When you talk about case studies and how they work, so broadly we divide the visitor into different intents, which is low, medium, high. But at the underhood, what we're trying to do is to divide them into different segments, and those segments go as deep as this visitor has decided the product, this visitor is product unsure, this visitor is deal hungry, this visitor is a discount seeker, all those kind of things. So imagine the website gets personalized for you in real time in that session, not the time when you have to spend money on remarketing to bring them back, is what we are able to achieve. And the case studies, funny enough that you ask, is we just like a couple of weeks back we released a report of impact of 25 beauty and wellness brands where Kui is working and what was the impact. And very simple KPIs that we can track is the number of sessions it takes for visitor to buy. And on an average, we've seen it took 2.2 sessions for these guys to buy. Because we were trying to deliver the right message at the right time, we were bringing it down to 1.8 sessions. And what this means is brands need to spend less money, so the CAC kind of goes down. Second thing is abandoned carts. A huge problem in the industry. There are so many ways to send an email, SMS, WhatsApp, etc., but the best time to convert somebody is when they are on your store. So using our intent-based segmentation, because if somebody is in a decision-making state, your abandoned cart message is different, or somebody is in a high intent abandoned cart message is different. We were able to reduce abandoned cart of average 11% to 8%. Right? So again, conversion more. And the most important impact that brands, swear and live by every single day is the conversion rate. These 25 beauty brands had an average conversion rate of 1.8% on their Shopify store. And with us, we were able to improve this to 2.3%. And these numbers with scale are, have insane impacts on the amount you spend and also the kind of sales that you're able to drive, bringing together like a composite multiplier effect.
It seems like a no-brainer though, doesn't it? Like when you can clearly see like, on average going from 1.8 to 2.3 in a conversion, like the impact that that's going to have on someone's revenue when they're not having to pay any more for acquiring more customers to come to site. Like they're getting that lift just by thinking about or using the software that shows them how people are navigating through that e-commerce journey. And if there been any particular industries that have kind of benefited more from using Kui, or any like more standout stats than obviously what you've just shared?
We are industry agnostic, Rebecca. We're also working with brands where the average order value is, say £1,000, and we're also working with brands where the average order value is £20, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of really impacts if £1,000 product would actually take 20 sessions to buy because the decision making is harder. And if an apparel brand is just sending a t-shirt for £5, you just go and buy. So some brands where the repeat purchases happen every 3 to 4 months, there I think the impact is really, really good, right? However, we're also able to develop impact on apparel and consumer electronics and CPG and food and stuff like that as well, because the way I look at it, even if we can help brands optimize 0.00001%, it has a massive impact on the business and margins.
Yeah, huge. And James, like we're coming up now to the most awaited, the most talked about dates in e-commerce, in the e-commerce calendar. Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Like, what kind of strategies are you adopting for the brands that you're working with now, or ones that you've kind of noticed that others are doing around like ads and acquisition, like for this time?
So my strategy is just all about getting as prepared as early as possible, whether that's like inventory, whether that's with getting our promos sorted or the funnel sorted, because we want to go like full send from the start day. And in terms of like tactics and insider tips, what we do as well, which I haven't seen many other like brands do, is like when the cost of advertising is a bit lower, like a few weeks before the first promo, that's when we get like ads to really be optimized for engagement, email signups, video views. So we get like a warm and hot pot of audience that we can go really heavy with the retargeting. And then that's when we start like with the brand, we'll start crafting the irresistible offers. So we'll look at like the margins, look at what the target audience wants in our offers, the competitors. And that's when we start prepping like the offer calendar. So some brands we've actually worked with, they start their Black Friday promos on the 1st of November. They'll run it up all the way to Black Friday, and then they'll have like their main offer there. So it's just all about getting as much out the period of time as possible. And then we'll work with our partners and the client to get all of their funnel optimized, whether it be the landing pages, the product pages. We want banners up reminding of the flash sales. And then we'll do that in our advertising, creating urgency, exclusivity. And then we'll work with like email and SMS with our partners as well. So it's just all about squeezing as much like scale out the period of time. And you can go really, really aggressive like as possible. If you're not going aggressive, like competitors will be. So it's like that's basically my strategy. It's like preparation to go as hard as possible.
Yeah. I mean, some brands literally start it back in January as well, don't they? Like they already know what they're planning on doing the following year. It's not like
they'll know their inventory on the November the 1st. So
yeah. For the next one.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Have you noticed this year that people are going in as hard as what they normally do? Like from like a design and development point of view from like the agency, we've noticed that there's not been as much of an aggressive push so far yet. I don't know if people are holding back a little bit, or
I think with like a bit of the meta volatility, people are being a bit more cautious. But like all the brands we're working with, they're getting geared up now. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's like affected it as much on the meta side.
Yeah.
So people are still going to go like full send on it, just as long as we're like as prepared as possible, really.
And do you typically run many more campaigns than what you would do in like an average month? So is there a lot more like variation in the types of ads that you're running, like leading up to the big day?
So we'll like do a lot more like mini promos. So like, for example, we'll start a campaign in the weeks running. That could be like a smaller discount. We'll create more campaigns scheduled for the middle of the month. So again, just like differentiate the promos. It keeps them fresh in our customers' eyes. But in terms of like the ad account structure, it doesn't change too much. It's just like the scheduling that changes.
Yeah, got it. And Shwetank, how do you think that businesses can like improve conversion and maximize that ROAS using like real-time intent around BFCM?
So this is a very, very funny time of the year, Rebecca, right? This is the time when visitors are looking for deals. They are looking for brands to tell them, hey, this is for sale. They're expecting brands to send them more emails, more push notifications, more pop-ups, etc. Right? But what doesn't change from a customer's view is they still want to figure out. They still want to understand that if I want to buy a pair of sneakers, I still want to go to four different brands and find out what that shoe has to offer for me and then go and make that decision and purchase, right? So if brands understand where this visitor is in the buying journey and deliver that message to them, I can go ahead and convert far more customers than I could, because this is the golden period that I have. And that is what is possible with real time intent. Because you would spend a lot of money, on an average, brands 3x their spend, and James would be able to correct me here. And the cost of media also kind of goes high. It's like I have this limited bandwidth on my mobile and my desktop, and everybody's trying to put ads to me at that particular, those window of 2 weeks, where my retention in the head also is going to be at super low point, because I'm always going to be bombarded with so many things. But as soon as I even take the effort to go inside any brand store and that connects with me in a way that I would like to, I would definitely spend more time, and which is everything important, putting me in the funnel. So the impressions increase, impressions to add to cart increase, add to cart to purchases increase, so the funnel goes there. And that is what happens in the same section with the most prized possession, which is acquisition dollars that you have. Intent makes that difference, and I think brands needs to, rather than blindly throwing just offers. I'm going to talk about just one more strategy here, how intent can really play with margins at this point of time, because Black Friday, everybody talks about offers, but deep down brands somehow don't like Black Friday because the amount of discounts they have to offer, right? So what we tell brands is, guys, we understand, we are on your side. We don't like discounts as well, right? Because right from the branding perspective to your margins to cost, it has multitude of factors. But if you see a visitors whose intent is medium, that means they still haven't decided on the product they want to buy and they're still figuring it out, offer them a 20%. But if a visitor has already decided in their head or shown inclination towards a specific product, give them only a 10%, because they have shown intent that they would like to buy this. So not only will your sales increase, your sales will increase with much improved margins,
Yeah.
which is the holy grail of the business.
Yeah, because I mean, it's all well and good, isn't it? Like selling out of everything, like driving as much traffic as possible. But if you've only got really tight profit margins anyway, and you're not keeping, a super close eye on that, then you could end up, selling out of all of your stock. But could you have potentially sold that stock again in January for full price rather than selling it out with, making no margin on it at all? So I think you've definitely got to like really find that balance, haven't you? And I know that we do a lot of like tracking on like the ad side, don't we, James, in terms of making sure that people understand like what their numbers actually are, because I do think that not people, but sometimes brands are, so caught up in specific areas that sometimes they don't really fully understand like what their actual conversion rate is and how that equates into, profit and loss. And I think that's something that you touch on quite a lot, isn't it, with the ads?
Yeah, so we have like a ROAS calculator and like a P&L profit like calculations. So we get them like to a T. And this like bases all our promo strategy. We'll take into account the margins. We'll take into account the increase of the cost of advertising as well. So if like the ads are like twice as expensive, we need to really take that into account with our offers and promos. And yeah, we've seen that with like other brands, like they could craft these really irresistible offers, but if the cost of the ads is just eating it all up, they're just not going to make any margin, like you said, Becca and Shretank. So yeah, you have to be like really, really careful with it.
Yeah. And what do you think that they can do, Shwetank, in terms of like leveraging AI? Like we love to talk about AI, don't we now? And it plays into everything. And how can they use that with QE to kind of make the most of this next quarter?
So I think AI has been around for a while, but with the whole chat GPT, etc., it's about, people have started understanding it far more, right? This is an example that I always talk about it. Like before chat GPT, did you even realize that you needed a product like that? The answer is no. But now that it's here, it kind of makes your life much more simple. And I think what we're trying to do with GUI is something similar. It's about real time intent, which people kind of didn't know makes all the difference. But funny thing is, if you look at the matrix, conversion rate as a KPI hasn't flickered in over a decade, right? So while the speed of ad creation has increased drastically because of so many things, and the future of AI, or the stage AI has become, it's not about data. It's about not just having APIs, not just having the raw data to do whatever, but what you can actually include in your strategy, what you can use as insights automatically. And that's what we can deliver with GUI. We don't just calculate the intent, but we also do the presentation layer so that it's very closely knit. If you're bringing traffic from the sixth campaign from Instagram or the fourth campaign from Meta, we can exactly track the funnel. With AI, we can find out where each visitor is coming in the store in that funnel, what stage of buying journey, and then how to engage, when to engage with them in real time to kind of maximize this. And sounds futuristic, but it's kind of possible, and it works and delivers good results today.
That's amazing, because I think as well it'll help people not just now, here and now, but also like taking all of that data and then applying it for next year as well. So learning what's worked, what's not worked, what could we do better? Because there's always going to be learnings from every campaign and each quarter and each month that you're doing from like an ads perspective, but also that on-site experience. And I think, websites are constantly evolving, aren't they? Like we constantly need to keep feeding them, we need to change them, we need to optimize them. And I think the more data that we can generate and understand about it and understand about the customers, the better to keep on improving.
Totally.
Back to you, James. There's obviously like a lot of talks kind of on what's coming up. And I've only just learned this like Q5. I had to ask the other day, I was like, what's Q5? Why is this the first time I'm hearing about it? Is this a new thing?
Well, I think Meta actually created it. I think they want
Oh, right,
more
okay.
money, but we've done it for the last few years, and like it's defined as, well, Meta defines it as the period after Christmas and up to New Year. But us as an agency, we actually go well into January, and we class that as Q5. And basically, it works for brands that have like the New Year, New Me sort of focus on, and well, like fashion brands, supplement brands, health. We've done it with cleaning brands. But the reason we say Q5 is because we can keep the promos going a lot longer. And we've done like really big scale in January just because a lot of the advertising costs are going down because a lot of the brands are scaling back their budgets, they're stopping their promos. But B, like a lot of the customers are still in purchasing mode. They don't just like stop on New Year and think, all right, that's me done spending. I think I read a stat like it was like 40% of customers who purchase in Black Friday and holiday period are still purchasing now. So that's why we keep the ads go, the promo ads going. We actually do like some more like personal founders style discounts, like you mentioned before, Rebecca. So this is just a way of keeping it fresh. But yeah, Q5 is basically just how we prolong the scale as long as possible, and it's a good way of like defining it, actually. It's quite handy saying just Q5, but yeah, we've got some good results.
And do you do the same amount of volume, or do you typically drop it back a little bit?
It depends on brand by brand. Some, like obviously like in the fitness space, you can do like higher volume, or the health space, like people who feel like sluggish over that period, that'll be like their best months.
Yeah.
So yeah, it depends brand by brand. And whether like, yeah, it's like seasonal with their demand really, but yeah, you can do.
And what would you say? What would you say for brands that haven't like experimented, or they've typically just kind of focused on that BFCM and then they've just kind of left things running? Like if someone's kind of new to this like Q5, what would you give them as like the best or top tips on things that they should look at implementing this year?
So I wouldn't just go in blind and think, all right, we're keeping the peak spend in this period. I'll do like a testing budget for a few days, and maybe like a 4 or 5 days. See if you're getting like the same like conversion rate, you're getting the same return on ad spend. And if you are, like, you can just scale it that way. And yeah, it's just like testing out whether your market is still in purchasing mode and doing it that way. But yeah, I wouldn't just like keep it on. I would like be a bit wary of it, and then you can like follow this strategy for future Q5s.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Cool. And with average order value, obviously it's great, like with the conversion rate and things. But if we are looking at like AOV, what strategies have you seen work best with Tank in terms of like increasing that AOV amount?
I think the way James was talking about, I think one of the most important resources at this stage for brands is try to find out the real cost of every product, right? So they know that I can give so many discounts, but using that, they can also figure out that, if you're trying to sell a product for 10 quid, but you're making only 8 out of that and you still need 2 to recover, then you try and upsell and like a bundle together to reach an AOV higher, right? And like I previously mentioned, this is the time when people are looking to add multiple things in their basket. They're looking for deals, right? So it's all about trying to create those bundles. One of the biggest thing which kind of goes wrong here is because a lot of brands use tools to create these bundles, etc. Those bundles don't change. They are very fixed, and bundles should be kind of really based on the product pages that the visitor is in, right? Or where you're seeing the sales of, if some product is going up, then the bundles should change because it should reflect what people are buying rather than what I want to sell them. There's this quote that I always read about is an exceptional customer journey is about seeing what they want to see rather than what brands want to show them. So you have the home page, the collection page, the product page, and the cart page. These are your 4 real estate properties. Try and have upsell, cross-sell opportunities in all of them during BFCM. But very big but there, don't try to put random things. Try to put things based on the product the visitors at, or the category page that they are at, like the collection pages they are at, because only if they see something relevant, they're going to stick and try to use it. If no, they're going to get out and get somewhere else. And this is something brands should really focus on, because they need to go and get maximum AOVs, which is very, very much possible in this time of the year.
And it's not even just for people that have got like big catalogs either. Average order value increases. Even those that have got a single product, there's definitely other ways that you can still upsell to boost that AOV. Things like shipping protection or extended warranty. Like there's multiple ways of just constantly trying to tweak and push that AOV a little bit higher each time. I think sometimes brands with smaller catalogs don't implement as much as what they possibly could do for average order value increase, because they think that they don't have enough variation maybe to offer. But we work with a brand, don't we, in the supplement space, James, who've got like a really small catalogue, and they still manage to kind of push that bundling aspects of it, don't they?
Yeah, and the subscription model as well. It's just all
Yes.
about getting the most lifetime value through like the small SKU range. So yeah, exactly that. Just maximizing what you can from the products, really.
Yeah. And have you got like any common pitfalls potentially that people should be avoiding when they're kind of thinking about like their ads and their ad strategy, like leading up to Q4? Do you think they should be, definitely don't do this, or try and avoid this if you can?
So I think I touched on it before. Just if you've got an offer that is just going to eat into the rising ad costs, it's just going to be an uphill battle from the start. So the offer preparation is the most important part. Again, getting your margins ready. But in terms of like ads, I'd say the most common pitfalls is maybe going too far out to top of funnel traffic, not really going out to maximize your hot and warm traffic. So yeah, that's basically the main pitfalls. But I'd say brands that don't really prepare their offers with their margins is the main ones.
Yeah. And how do you think that people should like allocate the budget as well between like prospecting and retargeting during like these high competition times?
Yeah, it depends on like client by client or brands, but how many are in your audience. But we'll assume like over the 12 months, you've got like a really core engaged group of traffic in your retargeting part. I normally still go for a 60-40 or 70-30 split, 70 to prospecting in this period. But it all depends on like how many people are in like this sort of retargeting audience, because the retarget audience you would expect is going to be like a lot higher in ROAS in this period. It's just seeing how much we can get into this pot to really target.
And is it different with like newer brands that might not necessarily have as much data? Like, what do you think they should be doing? Same or a bit different?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, probably like if you haven't got like a big retargeting audience, if you're doing like a big portion of your ad spend, you're just going to be hitting them with the same ads over and over. So if you haven't got a big data pool, go out to prospecting. Say you're a new brand. Say you're this is like our first Black Friday. Communicate that you are prospecting, but we want you to see our sales. So yeah, you can. If you are starting out, it obviously will be a lot more proportion to prospecting, but there are ways to really maximize this.
Yeah. And Shwetank, how does the like real-time strategy differ between like peak periods like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and then, compared to regular times? And I guess it really depends again on like industry and niche, doesn't it? Because not everyone has these like high spike times around the holiday season. Like some people's, best performing months could be January or February. Like how does that typically differ? And do you think there's any like specific adjustments that brands need to make around that time?
I think it all boils down to the point that the overall mind share of people that I want to buy and make this purchase in this limited time window is extremely high. So go bold, go aggressive, try to tell them these are the offer, these are the deal, this is exclusively for you, this is a limited time, this is a like limited stock and those kind of things. And like James was saying, right, sometimes you would not trust an influencer. This is the time you don't even have the time not to trust the influencer. Right? They would say, hey, if I'm getting an offer and it kind of makes sense for me, I'm just going to go. Yes, it comes with a 30-day return. I might just return it later, which is perfectly fine. But I think this is the best time for brands to say that the time to make the decision is the shortest. So they should try and provide as much information, as much comfort, possible, so that you even reduce the amount of time they're thinking to make the decision, and then this can go very nicely based on the intent. And the regular period, be a normal sell, look at your inventory, look at the long-term strategy and goals, etc., and then make sure your messaging, your creatives, your offers are aligned with a bigger strategy rather than just that 2 to 3 weeks window time.
Yeah, definitely. Like, so it all ties in together, doesn't it? It's all about the planning, the preparation, like the build up, and making sure that you've got everything aligned. And I think it sounds really like common knowledge and really basic, doesn't it? But I think there's so many like moving parts that people need to, and brands need to think about. That, having these types of conversations with different industry experts and people from different spaces within ecom can hopefully help people realign like what they're thinking and the plan, and hopefully make it a little bit more streamlined, because it is stressful and busy for people around this time, isn't it? Like there's no getting out of it. Yeah. We have like a holiday block around like the 2 weeks around like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, so like none of the staff can be off that time at all, because you just got to be so on hand for anything, any changes, or it's just a mad time, isn't it? And I think we've got time for like one last question before we kind of like open out to the audience that's watching. But it's going back to kind of like the bundling and the upselling and things. But have you seen like any other innovative approaches, Shwetank, that maybe like lesser known tactics around cross-sell, upsell that have worked like really well for brands?
I think we've covered quite a lot, but there's this one very simple tip that I think brands do this mistake quite often. And like you said, right, it's so many moving parts, and when you're trying to do this big thing, you somehow miss this, right? This goes back to also intent. Is if there's a visitor who's not yet decided on the kind of product they want to buy, that's the time when you can upsell and cross sell to them, and they would look at it and consider. However, if the visitor is spending substantial time on the product pages, right, trying to upsell or cross sell too early hurts the conversions because they get confused. A lot of them who would want to go ahead and buy a product suddenly see another product. And many times we've seen this is, they were on a page where the product was like, say, 80 quid. And then they get another pop-up where the product is 60 quid. So they've ended up going and buying the cheaper product, which actually hurt the brand because you could have sold much better. Mm-hmm. So the stage of upsell, cross-sell, and what you're trying to do, I think is really, really important. Don't do it too early. Don't do it too late because the guy's already gone. But based on intent and the journey, try to show them different things is, overall much more beneficial than trying to just do things.
Thank you. So I suppose like we'll open out the floor to anybody that's listening. I know we've had one kind of comment / question while we was talking. And someone said, I used to bang my head against the wall as an ecom manager at a D2C brand. It was sales mode with extra kickers all the time, and I used to ask why. And I think that can kind of, everyone can kind of resonate with that, I suppose, like throughout their experiences of working with brands. Like some brands, I suppose, are purely focused on sales all the time, aren't they? Whereas others are totally against it. And I mean, I suppose it's like, it's up to the brand entirely, that, isn't it? Like on how they want to be perceived. I think sometimes if you are constantly in sale, like, can it devalue the brand? Like, are people as, are they going to spend as much because they're just constantly waiting for that sale to approach? And I think that can kind of happen around BFCM as well. Like people can hold out, can't they, thinking that they're going to get that bigger deal on Black Friday, so they're going to wait for that whole month until that weekend. And one brand that we work with, their strategy was that they was totally honest and said, from the 1st November, this is our Black Friday, Cyber Monday discount strategy that we're offering. Like, that it won't be increasing. Like, you don't need to wait, because I think they was finding that people were waiting out, and the beginning of the month wasn't great for sales. So I think having that level of transparency with your customers is super important as well. And there's another one that we're working with at the minute who do like a calendar. So they're opening out a different door on each day. So people know something is coming, but they don't necessarily know what it is. And I think, yeah, there's so many different strategies that people can kind of use around the time. We've had another one in for you, James. So we find it challenging to know when and how to scale like ad spend effectively during those like peak periods. So how can they kind of, throughout the weekend, I suppose, like, should they be looking at scaling or reducing any ad spend throughout then?
Well, yeah, it all depends on if it's, you have to set your like KPIs and your goal ROAS levels. If they're there and about, yeah, do increase the spend. Like, what we normally suggest is, like, it's normally like every 3 to 5 days we'll be increasing this budget, but over like the week's period, if you're in ROAS goal, yeah, you can do it as aggressively as you want. If you've got like an upper and a lower ceiling of where you want to be, if things go well or things don't go well, if it's in metrics and in KPIs, you can go as aggressively as possible. But yeah, I would say, like, I wouldn't just like tank the budget for the sake of it. If your offer isn't resonating as much, it's just because it's Black Friday, it doesn't give you like the power to just like waste ad spend, because you're just going to get eaten up by the high costs. So yeah, pretty boring answer, but it's just all to do with like the KPIs and like if it's within the goals, yeah, go as aggressively as possible.
Got it. And one for QA. So we often see like drop-offs after initial engagement. How can QE help us keep like our customers engaged and encourage repeat purchases when it is such like a competitive market?
Great question. I personally, I always think Amazon has one of the best experience when it comes to shopping, right? Firstly, I can find everything under the sun, right from the assurity to the customer success, etc., and the way it can really read my mind. Right? So let's divide this entire very quickly into two parts. One is the first time visitor and the repeat visitor. First time visitor, we have to understand why they're dropping, where are they dropping, what is the reason, combine the intent with the funnels to see, are the drops happening from impression to add to cart to purchase, and those levels. And it's easy to kind of see how this can correspond into changing the messaging to go and improve those numbers. We can A/B test it, split test it to see how to kind of bring about change. But for repeat customers, Rebecca, it is so simple that if a visitor is coming back to your brand's website, that means they're happy with what you do. Otherwise, they would not bother.
Mm-hmm.
And if they are coming back, it's only for one of these three reasons. The first one is the product they're using is finished, so they're coming for replenishment. Second, they're trying to come and find a cross-sell product complementary to what you're using. And third, in case you send them an offer to buy something else.
Mm-hmm.
All these three things, if you personalize the web page based on this, we have seen with brands that the checkout happens in less than 30 seconds. Like, if you're selling shampoo and you just have that very simple thing there, which appears approximately only 2 months after their first purchase, which can be very nicely personalized. So they come, they're saying, time to restock, click, finish.
Yeah.
So you're not giving them so much time to think as well, but you're also solving their problem. Works very nice for everybody. And, that's some kind of experiences that we can deliver as well.
Yeah. No, it's just like a no-brainer, isn't it? I think like the space is so competitive now, like between every single brands, and like you've got to do things that make you stand out. Like you've got to enhance your experience of for when people are on site. Like what are you doing? Like, you know, like how we used to talk quite a lot about like that surprise and delight, like with when it comes to like packages and things. Like you've got to be giving that same experience in that first moment of people shopping or that second moment of people shopping. Now you can't just wait and think that, you know, that same journey is going to give everyone that same feel. So the more personalized you can make it, like surely like the better. It's smart. Well, I mean, that's kind of all the questions. So I guess we should maybe finish on like a parting last top tip for everybody to smash the end of this year.
Yeah, do you want to go ahead, Shrutank, or?
No, acquisition goes first, James. So please do.
My top tip is, I think the special sauce is keeping the Q5 going, testing it out. You can prolong it for another 3 weeks if you get it right. So yeah, that would be my top tip that isn't as heard of.
Yeah, and I know with all the cool things that James does and all the cool things that the brands do, I have just one single tip: stop treating all your visitors alike.
Oh, that was good. Thank you so much to both of you for joining us today. If people want to find out more about how they can stop treating all their visitors the same, or they want to kind of see more on what Kiwi can do and how it can impact their brand, like what should they do from here?
Yeah, so come to our website, www.let'sqe.com. We offer a 21-day free trial, which comes with the entire intent analysis. It comes with where the funnels are broken, what are the kind of steps that we can take and work with them. And we also offer like a managed service option where we don't just give brands the platform, but we also have a customer success guy working along with them, especially in this busy period, right? So because adopting to new technologies can be overwhelming sometimes, and operation teams are always busy doing million things. Very easy, one-click install, has no impact on the Shopify loading speed, and 30 seconds you're up and running. So come and
Amazing.
find us.
Thank you so much. And if you do want to find out any more about how James can scale your ads beyond belief over Q4 and the newly Q5, you can check out Rainy City's website. But we will add like the links to both sites as well after this webinar. But hopefully everybody got some value. I know I have learned a lot now around personalization and scaling on ads. So thanks so much, guys. And good luck to everybody going into this next